Welcome, gentlemen, back to this channel. Today I'm bringing you a very exciting sexiest designer cologne list for men. I picked 11 fragrances this time. I do this video every year, so I haven't included some that I've included in the past years, so you can also watch that one if you want more options. But for this year, this is the list that I felt like these fragrances are the sexiest to me, to my nose this year. They're all designer, so let's go. The first fragrance, and I'm going to share with you how I imagine this man to be. And this man is a businessman, but not like an entrepreneur. It's more like an office guy who works at a high-rise building in New York. He is very well groomed. He's wearing probably a shirt. He's working, he's busy, but there is certain sexiness to it because he knows what he wants. And I think in a guy there is nothing sexier than a guy who's he's organized, I would say, who's organized, who knows what he wants. And this is that guy to me. This is Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum. It's always on my list, and guys, don't underestimate Bleu de Chanel. It's one of the greatest colognes of all time. I'm not kidding. For us women, I've heard it so many times. It's just a cologne that is done to perfection. We love it. It's just magic. It's this fresh, manly cologne with the amazing lemon zing at the top, and it's woody. This just feels like heaven, and if you have never owned this, try it out. I promise you, you'll get tons of compliments, tons of attention. This cologne is just the best, and it's truly super sexy, but it can also be worn to the office, and not every sexy fragrance can do that. Next up, this cologne, and by the way, this is a men's colognes channel, so subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you as part of this community of fragrance obsessed people. And next up is a cologne that I blind bought, and I knew from the note that I would absolutely love it. And this brand just doesn't disappoint, and it's also not very expensive. It's really affordable to get at discounters. I'll link my favorites down below. I always do. But this fragrance, I mean, I've even sprayed this before the video because I couldn't wait to smell this. Bentley for Men Absolute. I love the Bentley line. If you're looking for really expensive smelling, niche expensive smelling fragrances, but for a fraction of the price, Bentley line have got it all. And this cologne to me is amazing. It's super dry, woody. It's like this woody wood that is really dry, slightly nutty. It's got papyrus, sandalwood, it's got pink pepper in there. It's spicy. It just comes off your skin, jumps off your skin when you apply it, because I've tested it on my husband. I always do for just the perfect test. The spray on here, it smells so expensive. This guy likes his colognes. This smells like a guy who has taste, he's probably into some niche sort of a hobby. He just knows his stuff, and he's also smelling like this. Absolutely amazing cologne, more of a nuanced niche level sort of a cologne for a fraction of the price. It's just so sexy to me, especially that spicy dryness. Oh, it's so good. Next up is a fragrance that to me, this is sexy but also comforting, because I wouldn't say that every single fragrance for men that smells good is sexy. There is this caveat in my mind that is only reserved for sexy fragrances, and this one does it for me. It's Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. This fragrance, it's just heaven. It's really strong as well, so if you love strong fragrances, then this one is for you. There's other fragrances from Tom Ford that I also adore, like Oud Wood. I have to mention it because I love that one so much. But this is more of a sexy, special occasion, winter sort of a fragrance. This smells very unique. The tobacco and the Christmas spices are very thick. This is dark chocolate, tobacco, vanilla, Christmas spices. It's like when you apply it, you will be smelled really, really strongly, but in this absolutely amazing way. This is a perfect fragrance for a guy like who's sitting at a man's lounge, and he's sitting there smoking cigars and drinking some whiskey, and he's like chatting with other guys. This is that sort of a vibe. It's very moody, but yet very, very sexy. Another fragrance that is always on my sexiest fragrance list, and I couldn't skip this one, so this tells you quite a lot about this cologne. It is magic. I've smelled it recently. I always tell you like, oh, I've smelled fragrances. This fragrance I smell quite often, actually more than Bleu de Chanel, for example, which I mentioned, which is still a very popular cologne. But this, for some reason, I can really smell. If somebody's wearing this, like, if you can't smell this fragrance on yourself, then ask other people if they can smell it, because there is something about this cologne. Still to this day, I can really strongly smell it on other people. So it's Allure Homme Sport au Extrême. I adore this fragrance. I even like changed seats to sit next to a guy who was wearing this cologne once on the train. So this just shows you like this fragrance is so sporty, so chic and French Riviera. It's minty, it's got mandarin, it's smooth, but it's super fresh. It's not this like citrusy freshness only. This is like a smooth, creamy citrusiness. This is a guy just wearing a linen shirt, driving in a really nice car, probably open top, in south of France, and smelling like this, very sporty, very sexy, and truly this fragrance is a strong one. Next up, I've decided to also include a newer release that I really love. You guys know that I love another fragrance from this line, but this is a newer one, and I think it's a bit more exciting for you guys as well, and I love it as well. Like, my husband has tested it, and I have absolutely loved wearing the new Le Male Elixir. This is so fun, so fun. It smells kind of like this bubblegummy, minty vanilla. It's super strong. This feels like a good time, like a guy who smells very sexy and very strong. You can wear it to a club. You can wear it to also project this younger, fresher persona if you're a bit older, or if you're younger, like if you're also like in your maybe early 20s or like teenagers, you can also wear this one, because this has got this like feeling of, I don't have a worry in the world, I'm going to have fun. But it also suits older people than like 20s. It's one of those that everybody will have fun with this fragrance, I guarantee you. And it does smell sexy, but it's for this particular setting of like having fun, partying, just that sort of vibe, holiday vibe. This is the fragrance. It smells really good. One of the best smelling Le Males in my opinion. Let me know, what is the cologne? I really want to know, like seriously, like I know that I say I want comments, but I really want to know what kind of cologne somebody said to you is sexy. Like if somebody has ever said, oh, you smell so sexy or smell so good, what cologne did they use with that word? I really want to know, because I think everybody wants to know, but I'm really curious. For me, another fragrance that I didn't think would be sexy, if that makes sense, because good smelling colognes for me are not always like sexy. There's sexy and there's like great smelling cologne, if you know what I mean. There is a difference. And this one, I thought it was just a great smelling cologne and freshy, but man, is it good. It's the Prada Low. I love the whole line, but this one, it's so fresh, but it's still very clean. So this whole line is clean, smells a bit irisy, and smells like just a fresh iron shirt, like an Italian man. This smells very Italian. Prada is Italian, but it does smell very like Italian, chic, very well dressed, very worldly European sort of a guy who travels a lot, I would say. And this is not an in-your-face, like I'm at a bar and somebody is like wearing a very strong cologne. This is more of that guy who just goes about his life, but yet gets attention from everybody, and he smells so good, and you can't quite pick out what kind of cologne he's wearing, because he's not wearing just any cologne. He's wearing this. It's so good. It's citrusy, slightly citrusy, but still like clean in this really sophisticated way, not in a soapy way. So very, very good fragrance, and I didn't think that this kind of cologne would be in that sexy realm, but somehow for me it totally is. Next up, we've got another one that I love, and this one is probably one of the safest, sexiest cologne purchases that you can buy, and it's also not too expensive, and it's Montblanc Explorer. I know that I talk about this fragrance a lot, but man, like, you know, I've got tons of fragrances in my collection. Like, I can't even count them. Last time I counted them, it was more than 800. But this fragrance, when my husband wears it, I go crazy and I'm obsessed every time. It's such a good cologne, and he gets compliments all the time. He gets attention with this cologne. There is something about it. It's not even that strong. It's very fresh and woody, but somehow you can really smell it when somebody wears it. So this is a freshie that you can wear all year round, but it's super sexy, like everyday sexy. But man, there is something about this cologne that I would say it gets better reactions than loads of niche colognes. Next up is a fragrance that I liked, but then I really started liking it because we did loads of tests when my husband had to wear it and then ask women what they thought about different fragrances. And I just fell in love with it, smelling it on him rather than on a scent strip, because he wouldn't usually wear this one. But I got the magic of it, okay? This is an OG fragrance, but it is sexy. There's something in the air that it does that makes it so much more sexier than on a scent strip, and it is Versace Eros Eau de Parfum or Eau de Toilette. They're really, really similar. I grabbed the Eau de Parfum because they've got similar bottles, so on my shelf I can't really pick them out. But get either one of them. They're both super hyper strong, and you probably know what the Versace Eros smells like. I mean, this is a sweet, bad boy, sexy fragrance. It's just so good. Another scent, totally a different world. This fragrance is sexy, but this is a guy. I would say he's a bit older. He's definitely like late 30s and up, even 40s, I would say for me. This fragrance is hyper sexy to my nose in like a very classy way, and it's an unusual one. Not many people will wear it, which is good for you if you're one of those that loves this fragrance. And it's Habit Rouge from Guerlain, a very classic fragrance, and I see a lot of the time that it's not one that is like hyper popular, which is good for you, but it's so magical. It's so good. It's this classy, manly cologne, but I would say that some like barbershop classy colognes can smell a bit cheap and tacky, just because there's so many of them, and there's many of them that are cheap, and that's why sometimes I don't recommend them. But this one is that, but super elevated. You don't get much of this bitterness in this greenery that is in this fragrance. You also have a bit of florals, a bit of citruses that really uplift this fragrance. This is like all year round, like vetiver, woody, citrusy fragrance that isn't blue, but it's so sexy and so good. And you'll be probably the only one smelling like this in your group of friends. It's one of those really hidden gems, and I can't sing it enough praises. I just love it. Another scent that is super juicy and good. This is again something that is sexy, but a bit more bad boy sort of energy, like a leather jacket, somebody who doesn't follow any rules. And I recommend this version in particular because the one that is very popular with within the same line, that one to me is again a great smelling fragrance, but it's more of a romantic, sexy fragrance. That was my husband using a blender. I mean, guys, he cooks as well, so I mean, I'm spoiled. He's making me risotto at the moment, so very, very spoiled. This is the one that I'm talking about, Stronger With You, absolutely. This scent compared to Stronger With You Intensely, that one is more like romantic date, Netflix and chill. This is like bad boy energy, super sexy. The guy who like women are obsessed with, but he's not settling down for anybody. This is such a strong fragrance. It's smoky, it's super sweet, but in this like nutty way. It's just like you're just melting for this guy. If you want a strong ass cologne that is super sexy, especially for like clubs, like where there's a lot of people and you want to still be smelt, this is like, we'll cut through all the other fragrances, okay? You'll know that you smell the best, basically. This is such a good one. Try it out. And another fragrance that I had to put on this list is this one, Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette. It's always a classic and a staple. Women adore it. I mean, you just have to go to like nearest grocery store and spray this and people will be like, oh my gosh, this person smells amazing. It's one of those that is tried and tested. It's super sexy. I still find it really, really sexy. It's one of those blue freshies that is also very projecting, but don't overdo it. With this one, you can really overdo it and smell like a douche. So don't do that. I would say 4 or 5 sprays max on like an everyday basis. Maybe a bit more if you're going to like somewhere more crowded, but don't overdo it, and don't overdo it if you're riding in a car with a woman. I mean, is that like, please don't do it. I think guys just apply a lot of cologne often before going into the car. And if you're picking somebody up, please don't do that because you'll suffocate them. There is nothing worse than the whole car just smelling really intensely of your cologne. So wear it with caution, but it's still a great smelling cologne. I'll link my favorite discounters for Canada and also the US and Europe. I myself use FragranceX quite a lot because they ship to the UK. FragranceNet is also great, and also there is a Canadian one that I can't remember right now, but it's a great one and I'll link it down below that I shop at. But you're also like, for Chanel, I would say definitely just shop from Chanel's website or like Saks Fifth Avenue or something like that, because with those fragrances you always get free samples and you can't get free samples a lot from Chanel. So I would go to that store directly and make sure that you're getting the best possible experience. And also you don't get great deals at Chanel like ever, so you might just as well buy it from Chanel's website directly. Not that I'm sponsored by Chanel, it sounds like it, but yeah, that's my opinion. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for all the members that are supporting this content, this channel. It takes quite a lot to film this, edit this, different things that go behind the scenes that you might not realize. So thank you so much for supporting us, me and my husband. We are a production team, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.